This is your invitation to join us because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclub.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
Yeah, and it's that time once again. It is the truth about Chicago sports here on WRMN 1410 Studio 14, Elgin, Illinois. Let's go! And now we will get the show kicked off today with your host, Marcus Mack. And joining me is Nick No Gimmick Johnson in the studio. And I believe the Derek is sticking around for a little bit as well. What's going on, guys? How we doing?
What's up, Marcus? It's just me today. Derek had to cut out a little early.
Not a problem. So we got a fun-filled-packed show. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some Bears. We're going to recap what happened on Sunday, and then we're going to preview what we're looking forward to tomorrow. So tell me, what do we got on the docket for baseball? I know we were talking in the green room earlier. You said you had a couple things that you wanted to announce, and let's get into it.
Yeah, so, I mean, before we get into the playoff schedule, I was thinking maybe talk a little Terry Francona. Terry Francona signing with the Cincinnati Reds after a year hiatus of well, I'm not a hiatus necessarily, but, just taking a break from managing on the year. But back joining a very young, in my mind, and hungry Cincinnati Reds team who underperformed this year. But with a guy like that at the helm, I mean, you leading Elly De La Cruz, Jonathan India, and maybe Hunter Green right there. I mean, that's going to be solid right there for sure.
I was very surprised to see Terry Francona. Now, if I'm correct, he was he was in the booth this year, doing his hiatus.
Yeah, doing a little broadcasting, doing a little analysis.
Yeah, little analysis, breakdown and stuff. And a great man, great person to really hear talk baseball. And to be honest, I am disappointed that he's not going to be heading to the South Side, because I just feel like the Sox need a major shakeup, and it definitely starts with having a proper manager and coach of the team. And I think Francona is one of the best in the business. So, kudos to Cincinnati for getting one of the best in the game. But as we see once again, the South Side completely drops the ball on getting the right people, or at least the top people, to try to come in and fix this organization.
Yeah, that's exactly what I also wanted to get to. Exactly, just one of the White Sox clearly not doing their due diligence, in my mind. Haven't really done. It doesn't seem like they've done any searching or hiring or any sort of interview so far for their general manager spot. While we have Sizemore in for right now, I don't think he's the long-term fix. I see a couple other names for sure, but this would have been a huge get if Terry Francona decided to come to the South Side. But unfortunately, continues again with Jerry's incompetence as an owner, Chris Getz as incompetence as a GM as well, or just watching. So it's clear as day. White Sox, again, just hopefully it's not another hire within situation. I want them to go out there and interview somebody outside of the Sox organization. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Nick, here's the problem. As I sit here and, I'm away from Studio 14 today, out of town, I like to attend youth sporting events all around the land. I'm a big sports person, and so I was invited an opportunity to see some cool, youth sports, check out some of the young people coming up in the game, and, give my analysis and breakdown and thoughts of that. But as I sit here doing that, and I think about the Chicago White Sox, I had a Mac attack about this organization about 2 months back, and this is exactly what that Mac attack was about. Just the lack of effort. The simply lack of effort. Jerry Reinsdorf wrote this, at least we think it was him that wrote this so-called heartfelt letter to the fans, telling that it was no excuse. This was ultimate embarrassment, and they're going to do everything they can to get this right. And then here we go. Brady Sizemore still the interim manager. Okay. So you said you were going to aggressively go out and try to find someone, but yet here, one of the top guys, you get beat out by Cincinnati. And Nick, I'm sorry. Why are the Chicago White Sox operating like a mom and pop store when we're in a major market? Please explain this to me.
I wish I could. I really wish I could. For a guy that has just owns 2 professional sports teams and just can't pick up his checkbook, it's beyond me.
How can you get beat out by the Reds? I mean, think about that. I mean, let's really break this down. If he chose to go to Cincinnati over the White Sox, the White Sox probably weren't even on this guy's radar because the organization is that flawed. And yes, Chris Getz, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe that he's a competent hire, but it's not looking like it. It's just looking like it was an in-house pick because, hey, well, we got nobody else that wants the job.
Yeah.
At least you do.
Yeah, at least in my mind, it's so little that I want. My expectations are just simply, even if you still stick with Grady Sizemore, as long as they just interview somebody outside of the White Sox organization, just so they have some sort of idea, well, how do other franchises run their organization? What do other franchises look for in a candidate for their manager? What should be these things that how are these other teams that are light years ahead of us right now in every sort of aspect? How are they hiring? What are they looking for? And clearly, again, it's just the idea that they're sitting on their hands, hiring within, not taking the time, and it's the word of the day. The word of the day surrounding the White Sox will be lazy, especially in that front office. They're not looking around. Yeah. It's a shame.
Constantly bypass. And I'm not even sure so much, Nick, if it's lazy. It's that people aren't paying attention to you because your organization is flawed. The White Sox R&D department is non-irrelevant. You get a young guy up from the minors, but if your research and development department is no good, how are you going to make him better? Major League Baseball is not football or basketball where these guys just have this God-given talent that can overcompensate no developing or coaching, no proper development or coaching. All right? You have to have a proper research and development department. The Sox don't have that. You have to have a competent coaching staff. The Sox don't have that. You have to have a proper owner. The Sox don't have that. You know what the Sox got? They got great tasting sundaes, and they actually have a decent minor league system that they don't know what to do with. So they just keep bringing guys up and selling them away.
And that was the decent. I mean, again, yeah, you're right. Decent so far is their farm system. Not the best, but it did improve from bottom third of the league to about mid-tier. So again, it's not the worst, but you fear for a guy like Colson Montgomery. You're like, well, why didn't you see him all year? Probably because you don't want that stank that would get on him. That is the White Sox and the organization that just taints them. Apparently.
I doubt Francona. I'm pretty sure the Sox called, because why wouldn't you? I mean, then again, look who we're talking about. So, yeah, it's feasible that they didn't pick up the phone at all. But I like to think an organization is spiraling, and you hear that this guy is coming out of retirement. He's ready. He's ready to get back into it and get back in the dugout. How do you not, if you're Chris Getz, pick up that phone and at least say, hey, would you mind coming in and interviewing with us? Would you mind coming in and just talking to us? Hear us out. But you know what? Why would he? When you don't even when's the last star that the White Sox had? When's the last viable all-star that the White Sox have had on the roster? Chris Sale? Was that it? Was that the last one?
I mean, Garrett this year, I would suppose, but Luis Robert Jr. past couple of years.
Was Garrett Crochet? Was he really an all-star? I mean, or just a default pick because they have to. He
was at the time. He was red hot around the All-Star break, but then kind of it slowly cooled down because he had no help. There was nothing really.
No help. And so yeah, we'll give it, and then you got to think about that. We're struggling to even identify all-stars on the roster in the last couple of years, and then we're not going to even talk about when's the last Hall of Famer been on the team. I think that has to go back. That's been Frank Thomas. I mean, unless Paulie gets in, cross your fingers, or Mark Burley, this is what is this organization doing?
Yeah, truly.
And it's become appalling, Nick. It's become appalling. And so, hearing about this, hearing about Francona, going to Cincinnati, I love that he's back in the game, but it just hurts once again. It just shows the fealty of the Southside team that I have grown up loving and supporting since I was a little kid. Sometimes I wish I was born on the north side.
Either that or just, if you had a parent that, just wore a Cub hat instead of a Sox hat that one day type deal. Honestly, it's just another name that slipped through the cracks. Obviously we see A.J. Hinch leading the Detroit Tigers. White Sox had him for a day. Just the idea that he slips through, it's unreal. And just, again, to see him now thriving in Detroit. Not only do they have A.J. Hinch, they stole Jason Benetti from us in the White Sox. So just all around there, just piling on. And again, they break through, and then they beat the Astros, and now who are they playing? They're on to the Cleveland Guardians today. So it's just clearly teams are head and shoulders above this organization. It's brutal, absolutely brutal. I sit here, and I know you are too. We're both White Sox fans. It pains us to sit here and say this. It absolutely is brutal.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. It is. It is something that I'm trying to live with as a fan and say it's going to get better, and yet I just don't see it. And, that was a great segue there where you mentioned the playoffs that are getting set up. And, we're going to turn our focus on that because if I go down this rabbit hole on the South Side, we'll get depressed.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's actually some playoff baseball that's happening right now, and that is great. So we got the Guardians and the Tigers, Mets and Phillies, Royals, Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers. So we've got the Big Eight. Now, this is the setup for we'll end up eventually being the final. Two teams will become the finalists for the World Series showdown. And I really like these matchups, honestly, Lick. I mean, you got a scrappy Tigers team that really kind of came up. You've got a Guardians team that, is as much as they are small market and they still haven't gotten the ultimate chip, I believe, right? They still haven't gotten the World Series chip.
Nope.
Come close. They're finding themselves in the playoffs these last couple years consistently. Then you look at the Mets and the Phillies. I just think this is a great showdown with a Mets with a powerhouse team led by Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, that great lineup. Then we get a little – I was actually surprised about the Royals, not the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have been the standard, right, for many years. But the Royals team really kind of shocked me that they were able to get in there. And I was not surprised at all by Padres Dodgers. Give me your winners. Who are you picking out of each series?
Now, I would love to say, it both pains me to see both these teams in here. Honestly, shocked that 3 AL Central teams are this deep right now, but seeing 2 of them battle off right here. I like the Detroit Tigers' momentum, but however, I do like the consistency of the Cleveland Guardians' bats, and that bullpen is just dynamite. It just lights out. Emmanuel Clase could have even won Cy Young this year, but he will be the closer of the year, hopefully for sure, on the Guardians side of things. But right now, like I said, they got a little bit of rest. They have the bats and they have the bullpen. However, the Detroit Tigers have a little bit of momentum rolling in right now. I would still maybe lean the Guardians side of things, just considering this is a 3 games. This is a best of 5. So I only need 3 in this one. Staking on the AL side of things, like I said, I'll go Guardians to advance in this one. Not in love with it, but it is what it is. Then I see Kansas City and New York. Kansas City will give them some fits. They're not crazy great right now. They're relying on a little bit of. These aren't big names. Like Regan's isn't a huge name for the Royals and their pitching staff. So it's gonna be a lot of bats and a lot of power coming out of New York. I think New York, the Yankees will take this pretty convincingly, maybe a 3-1 or just a 3-0 sweep on this one for the Royals. But it's just good to see them there. I really like Bobby Witt Jr. Unfortunately, he will just be just dogging the White Sox for the next 10 years. So it's just so might as well just get used to him and actually like him as opposed to like, oh, geez, here he comes again. He's very fun to watch. So I got the Guardians and the Yankees advancing there most likely. And again, if we want to take a step forward on that, I'll just lean towards the Yankees right now. Again, it's too big of a powerhouse. Too big of a powerhouse to take down the Yankees, especially if they're going to have home field advantage the rest of the way out on the AL side of things. And then on the NL, obviously, like you mentioned, same thing. Philadelphia is the powerhouse on this side of the NL for sure. All those bats that you mentioned earlier. I do like the Mets. There's a lot of that miracle Mets type deal is that feeling, but it just it's just not enough right there for me. I'll roll with the Phillies. And then this one is really exciting. Of course, Padres, Dodgers, divisional rivalry. They'll be going back and forth. I want to see 5 games out of this one for sure. And I'm leaning the Padres. Again, just the idea that they're a little bit more red hot. I know Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani will do everything in their power to not have that go there, but it's a lot of things going right for the Padres. I'm going to lean the Padres.
Yes, I think that these couple teams that are really hot going into the playoffs, like you said, the Tigers, just the way they had to fight to get in. They've been practically playing playoff baseball for probably the last 2 weeks of the season ending. And then the Padres they kept a real consistent hand. They seem to get a little heat at the end as well, and they bring it down into the playoffs. But I'll tell you, honestly, I'm really excited to see Ohtani in the playoffs play. I mean, this guy is special. And the season he put together was, what the heck, man, huh? Talk about why can't one of the Chicago teams land a star like that? That's what you need right there in a lineup. He's a difference maker.
Oh, it's because Jerry really laughed when he scoffed when he said the amount of money that they were going to pay Shohei Ohtani. So, again, the writing was on the walls there.
Right.
Who do you?
But as we can see,
who do you got for maybe the World Series matchup? Are you too early for you on that one?
You know what? I mean, I really want to see it. I know it's been a long time coming. I can't remember the last time it happened. I want Yankees-Dodgers.
Yankees-Dodgers.
I want Yankees-Dodgers, man. I want that old school classic matchup. I think it's been a while. I have to go look at the book to see the last time these two have met in the World Series. But I would love to see that. And you're talking about with all the big names, big stars on each side of the ball. I just think that'd be a firework-filled World Series with Ohtani, with Judge. Oh man, pitching staffs both elite. You're talking some real good baseball, but we know how baseball usually goes, and it never plays out that way. So, but that would be my dream World Series matchup.
1981 was the last time the Dodgers and the Yankees met up in the World Series.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
little ways away. My matchup was a little bit closer. I'm going with the 1998 rematch. I'm going with the Yankees and the Padres.
Ooh.
Yeah, at that time, the Yankees came out on top, but again, just with both these teams looking the way that they are, might need a little bit of magic, a little bit of luck on your side, maybe the ball to bounce your way for the Padres to maybe get over on the Phillies, but this is October baseball. Anything can happen. That's why they go out there and play.
Anything can happen, indeed. We've seen it many times. I mean, heck, me and you being Southside fans in 2005. The Sox were hot. They had a good season, but nobody really thought that they would come in that playoffs and just ignite like that.
Oh, I mean, 11-1 throughout that stretch. Yeah, that's insane.
You see it in many years. It's usually always that scrappy team that's going to push. Look at Arizona last year, coming out of nowhere. No big names on the roster, not a huge payroll, but yet they got in, and all of a sudden you can get hot, and now you're rolling. So, a dark horse in that situation would be the Mets.
Yeah.
Where they fought, like heck to get in. They, some real heroics. Alonso, I believe, with that hit.
Pete Alonso, the polar bear, with that 3-run homer. That was, talk about exciting. Again, that's what you live for with baseball.
Yeah. So when you see something like that in October baseball, it's like you'd love to say, hey, the big names are going to get it done, but it's usually not how it works in baseball. And so just as much as I would, love to see Yankees, Dodgers, it could really easily end up being Mets and the Royals.
Yeah, that is always not the downfall, but you have these chances of these smaller market teams getting in there, and you're like, oh no, what do we do? Exactly last year when it was Rangers and Diamondbacks, you're like, who is this really for? Like the national audience is not going to be in love with these two matchups, but if it was Yankees and Dodgers being the two largest markets and going from coast to coast, I mean, man, oh man, strap in. I would love that.
The fireworks, the fanfare, the media cut. I mean, we're talking right. This is it. This is the
two meccas. You're in New York and Los Angeles.
Two meccas coming together. So yeah, it'd be like I said. That's my dream World Series. But baseball, it just doesn't work that way. I've been watching the game for a really long time, and generally it's that team that's gotten hot that can get on the heater, that can pretty much defeat anybody. And, that usually doesn't happen from the big guys, unfortunately. Sometimes, they come in, trying to do too much. And, that smaller team that doesn't have a lot of expectations just comes in doing everything right. And, baseball, home runs are awesome, but it's about getting on base. It's about getting on base, and so the team that can do that the best is going to be the two teams is going to end up meeting in the World Series.
Now, I don't know if you saw this. This popped up. It was a little popular throughout the rest of the day. On the AL side of things, between the remaining four teams, the Yankees' payroll is at $309 million. If you add the Guardians, Tigers, and Royals payroll, it is still less than the Yankees' payroll. So this is. You see where the money's going, you see who has the big bucks, and you see why the Yankees can get in, but you also see how, flip it. You may not, I would say necessarily Moneyball, but you're getting still a lot out of the least amount of guys and least amount of talent from these other three AL Central squads.
And like we talked about earlier, it shows us that coaching, research and development, a good minor league system matters. Bringing these guys up, okay, I can't pay this big star, but I got a guy that's down here that can play just as good. And if I coach him right, and if I research and develop his skill sets properly, he's going to come in and make an impact when he gets to this big league show. And, it's nice when you can have the huge names and bring them on your roster like the Dodgers can, and the Padres and the Mets, Phillies. But, for teams like the Royals, the Guardians, and even Detroit in some regards, they have found that way to still make it through doing baseball the right way. And I only hope that the South Side can please hear this. I feel like the Cubs are somewhat on that path. I think they got nipped by a little bit of bad luck this year.
I think they were just a star short, honestly. They needed one more guy.
They're just a star short. They're just a star short. I think they've got it right with the coaching. I think they really, kind of get what they need to do to get to this next step. But, the South Side just seems lost as heck. When we get back from break, we'll continue breaking down a little bit of baseball. But we're going to transition, though, and get ready to start talking some Bears as we got a big game tomorrow. Bears versus Panthers. People going, what? Big game? Bears? Yes, big game for the Bears versus Panthers. They're going to definitely need to go ahead and get that W in the column on a team that should be an obvious win. So when we come back, we'll continue with the Truth About Chicago Sports with Marcus Mack and Nick No Gimmick Johnson on WRN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. Let's go!
Looking for a place to try for breakfast or lunch? You'll find a gem of a restaurant with amazing food and great prices at the Tripleberry Cafe, 435 Angela Lane in Crystal Lake. For breakfast, try Tripleberry's strawberry cheesecake French toast, ribeye steak and eggs, or carnitas skillets. At lunch, there's the AM Burger or Chipotle Chicken BLT. There's delicious homemade cream of mushroom soup. For tasty home cooking, Tripleberry Cafe is the place to be. Visit tripleberrycafe.com.
Want to read some action-packed, exciting pulp fiction? Read the works of Michael Tooman, now featuring the international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tooman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa Sierra Yankee Lima India November Kilo dot November Echo Tango.
Rooted in their family Mexican history, churros are made daily with love. Churros and Chocolate at 2533 West Algonquin Road has churros made from family recipes with care and fresh each day with delicious fillings. There's also the Frida Cafe where you can relax and catch up with a friend while having a warm drink. Try Churros and Chocolate specialty churros, the churro sundae, or take home a churro cake. Visit churros, the letter Y, chocolateinc.com.
Garibaldi's Italian Eatery offers Italian dishes, subs, kids menus, and their delicious pizza. The foundation of a great pizza starts with the crust. Garibaldi's crust is crunchy at the bottom, airy in the middle, and perfect every time. The finest ingredients are used to give their pizza this exquisite crust and wonderful taste. Dine at either of the Garibaldi's 2 locations in Hoffman Estates and Arlington Heights. Free party rooms are available too. Visit Garibaldis.com today.
This is Larry Jones, and I'd like to talk to you about my bank, American Eagle Bank in South Elgin. Has your bank changed names in the last 10 years? Is your bank another faceless branch with headquarters in another city? Are you tired of earning next to nothing on your savings account or certificates of deposit, or does your personal banker treat you like a stranger? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you're ready for a new banking experience, and American Eagle is the place for you. American Eagle is a locally owned independent bank that's rooted in the community, and American Eagle customers are greeted by name and treated with the respect that they deserve. American Eagle has an innovative program, Eagle Savings, that teaches your children to save while earning prizes and rewards. American Eagle offers great rates on certificates of deposit. My bank is located in South Elgin on Randall Road between the Target and Caputo's and is open Monday through Saturday. Give them a call at 847-742-7400 and a real person will answer the phone. American Eagle Bank, a place where you matter.
A dream that's been cooking for years, Maria's Little Italy in Sycamore is waiting for you to come and enjoy authentic recipes handed down for generations. Stop in and enjoy bruschetta, handmade focaccia bread, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more. Dine in, take out, delivery, or catering is all available. Go to mariaslittleitaly.com and see what you've been missing. From their family to yours, welcome to Maria's Little Italy, where food brings families together.
Come see the only train-themed restaurant where all the seating is on the tracks. Two Toots Train Whistle Grill on Main Street in both Bartlett and Glen Ellen is always fun and always fresh. Two Toots Train Whistle Grill serves 100% grass-fed beef hot dogs and burgers. There's also chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and more, all loaded up on 2 Lionel O scale trains and delivered directly to your seat. No one sits away from the fun, regardless of age. When a train arrives delivering your food, you'll smile ear to ear. Visit twotoots.com.
Welcome back to the show. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports on WRMN 1410, Elgin, Illinois, Studio 14. You're here with Marcus Mack, and also joining me in the studio is Nick No Gimmick Johnson. John Stunt, sorry, my friend.
You go boss happens all the time.
Just finished up. Trust me, you know that Freudian slip situation, and man, with my last name, I get butchered so much.
I've been called worse.
That's why I'm Mac. Like my last name isn't actually Mac, but it's been butchered so bad over the years that Mac has always just seemed to be the easier way to go now moving forward. But yeah, we left off talking about playoff baseball. We actually have on the call-in line, we're joined by Blake Colwell, sports reporter Blake Colwell, who's going to be sitting here and talking and finishing off that little baseball conversation with us. Blake, are you on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Blake.
Hello?
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing this morning?
All good, all good.
Oh, man. Doing good. Welcome to the show. And we left off talking about the playoffs and our expectations, who we thought was going to win, and World Series predictions. So just come and jump on in with us on that. World Series predictions. Who do you think? Who would you like to see in the World Series this year?
Well, I was kind of listening to what you guys were talking before you went to break, really breaking down the small market teams and what's to come. I know, Marcus, you said you wanted the Yankees-Dodgers matchup. I'm going to play a little off that. I want to see an Aaron Judge legacy moment, legacy playoff. Give me the Yankees from the AL, but give me the Padres from the NL. I'm not a Dodgers fan. I'm a Cubs fan, but I don't want to see the Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman all-star lineup get it. I want to see their arch-rival Padres get it. And you guys are Sox guys, so give me Dylan Cease in the postseason or in the World Series. Give me former Cub Yu Darvish in the World Series, and give me Fernando Tatis, young budding superstar, hasn't got there yet. I want to see the Slam Diego Padres playing the Yankees in the World Series.
Oh yeah, I want to see some Dylan Cease in the postseason. I haven't seen
like
Dylan Cease play meaningful baseball yet, and this would be the perfect time.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to be real sweet right there. And you know, Dylan Cease, Blake, you mentioned. I love the fact that you said Cubs, because that's a perfect segue. Break down to me, what do the Cubs need to really do to get to this position to where they can compete with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, and the Yankees of Major League Baseball, or at least National League side of things?
Well, in the National League, you got to spend a little bit more money. I know a big gripe in Cubs Twitter and the Cubs fandom this year was they spent too much money for not enough wins. Now, Jed Hoyer, GM of the Chicago Cubs, has preached many times, especially in press conferences, intelligent spending. Well, what does that look like? Well, this offseason, if Cody Bellinger opts in, that's automatically $27 million added to their payroll. We'll see. I think the deadline for that is 5 days after the World Series if he can opt in or out. I think the Cubs are going to go try and add another starting pitching. If there's one thing you need in the playoffs, it's starting pitching and a good bullpen. I'm predicting right now Corbin Burns is a Chicago Cub come opening day. With that connection with Craig Counsell, former Brewer, and Corbin Burns, a former Brewer, I think that connection is good enough to bring him into Chicago, giving the Cubs a frontline rotation of Corbin Burns, Justin Steele, and Shota Imanaga. I would take that top three rotation in baseball. I would take those top three guys against almost anybody in baseball. So I think it's going to start with the starting pitching. They're going to need an added impact bat. Pete Alonso's name's been thrown around a few times. How does he fit on this roster? I'm not entirely sure yet, but that's another name I'd look for this offseason for the Cubs.
Yeah, I've heard Pete Alonso for the Cubs as well, and obviously we've seen some of the heroics he's been able to provide in this playoff series already. But, yeah, does he fit with the Cubs roster? And I guess really it comes down to, do you just say, hey, it doesn't matter if the guy can get on base, we're just adding it to the roster. And how much is that going to cost you? Is it worth it? If the Cubs will pay, now they're the joke of town. If they don't bring them in, they're criticized for not doing enough. And so I find this to be a make-or-break season for Jed Hoyer. And you tell me, Blake, what do you think? If the Cubs don't make the playoffs next year, is Jed gone?
So that's a good question. At the start of 2024, I am definitely on the record, multiple tweets, said it on a few podcasts. I thought that 2024 is make or break for Jed. Now, I'm a Jed Hoyer defender. I will defend him with some honor. This is going into 2025. I agree. This is make or break. But there's stuff about Jed that you have to commend. There is stuff that I feel like he gets unfair criticism for, and one of that being the farm system. And as White Sox fans, you guys know too, that farm system doesn't always translate to on-field success. But when you have 8 prospects right now that are in the Cubs' top are in the MLB top 100 prospects. The Cubs have 8 of those guys, and to my knowledge, that leads the MLB. So he knows how to scout guys. He knows how to develop them high enough to AAA. Can he take the next step? Can these guys that he's been farming for the last 3 years, can they make impact on the MLB roster? Now, Pete Crow-Armstrong, he had a stretch last year from August 1st to about mid-September where he was batting .320. You know, they had other young guys. Michael Busch, 21 home runs this year. He was a rookie, an older rookie, but can he take the next step to hitting 35 home runs, 30 home runs, anchoring the lineup? The one thing the Cubs are missing is an anchor to their lineup. Seiya Suzuki, he ended up OPSing around 800. Michael Busch had stretches where he OPSed around 800. They need an anchor to this lineup. So for Jed, he's going to have to get creative. Is that Pete Alonso? Can he make a trade for maybe Vlad Guerrero? That's more of a pipe dream, but still a possibility. He needs to find an anchor to his lineup. And, yes, I agree, 2025, make or break for Jed. But still, he has a lot of young pieces he still has stock in. Let's see if those can come to fruition and help the MLB roster, the talent that he found himself.
So the Cubs finished they finished 6 games out of the wild card. And I'm looking at a guy that the Cubs were looking at last year possibly to add in Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman finished the year with a 7.1 WAR. So my idea simply, and I was kind of getting into the last segment, was are the Cubs simply just one star away from being able to just get into the playoffs and be able to make a run right here or for next year?
From my prediction and what I've seen this season, I think so. There are too many times, because if you look at their Cubs roster, they have a lot of good players, not great. Dansby Swanson, he had a down year, but he's always been a good, not great player. Cody Bellinger, a good, not great player. And even Matt Chapman, you know, he had a good season, but I'm not putting him in the same class as Shohei Ohtani, guys like Juan Soto, those type of players. And this free agent market is a little shallow when it comes to those stars. Obviously, Juan Soto is going to test the market. I don't see how the Steinbrenners let him leave New York. I think he will return to the Yankees. So they're going to have to get creative. But to answer your question, yes, I think they're one anchor star away from taking that next step and getting into the playoffs and making up those 6 games, however they need to do it.
Yeah, this was it was very interesting to see how this season played out because of the fact of them getting Craig Counsell from Milwaukee and then seeing the Brewers make it in. It was kind of funny because I noticed that a lot of Cubs fans took a lot of joy in seeing the Brewers get bounced, and I think rightfully so. If you're going to get their coach, you definitely don't want that team to go on to big success. Blake, I thank you so much for joining us. Tell everyone how they can find you. Where do they look you up at?
Awesome. Yeah, no, you can find me on all platforms, but mainly on my Twitter, Blake Cowell X. That's BlakeCowellX on X. You can also find my podcast, Lakeshore Radio, streaming on Spotify, as well as my other podcast that releases every Thursday morning called The Sunday Spread, where we talk about NFL and different betting lines. But I appreciate the time today, guys. I really do, and hopefully an opportunity in the future as well. Thank you.
Blake, yes, indeed. Thank you for joining us, and we definitely look forward to you being on again. Before you go, give me a prediction for tomorrow, Bears-Panthers.
Bears-Panthers tomorrow. It's a Caleb Williams breakout game. Matt Eberflus has the defense humming. Give me 31-10, Bears.
Yes, sir, indeed. Thanks once again. That's Blake Colwell joining us on the call-in line. Great sports reporter in Chicago, covering all Chicago sports. We look forward to you coming back onto the show again, buddy. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, so that was I liked his real good insight there about what could possibly fix the Cubs issues, because like you say, being one player away, I really feel like they could definitely be in these playoffs competing with these teams. They were not that far off. No. Unlike the South Side, this team has got some pieces. They just needed to just come together now at this point. Yeah,
I like that we had the same same World Series prediction between the Padres and the Yankees. So glad to see at least if I'm on the same page as someone that's doing the reporting. I like to hear that. Yes. No, hey, you know what? As soon as he said it, I'm like, he's right on page with Nick. I love it. Oh, man, so that was great times right there.
Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start breaking down and talking about what happened last week as the Bears were able to come out on top and get the victory at home. I'm sorry, yeah, they were on the road or at home, Nick. I can't remember.
They were at home against the Rams.
They were at home, yeah. They played against the Rams.
Undefeated at home so far, 2-0.
7-game win streak. 24-18. DJ Moore and Caleb were finally able to find a connection for first touchdown of the year. We also saw DeAndre Swift have a breakout game after looking very pedestrian the first 3 games of the season. He was really able to get his legs going. And even though the offensive line had their struggles, especially with pre-snap penalties in the first half, they really seemed to kind of come together in that second half, and we saw the fireworks finally start to come out of this offense to match with the fireworks that the defense has been bringing every week. What was your assessment of that Rams-Bears game?
I mean, the biggest one for me was who woke up. DeAndre Swift woke up, and he had a lovely game. 160-plus on the ground and through the air, 7 for 72 receiving. He had the rushing touchdown. It was nice to get that going. It really opened it up and allowed Caleb to he didn't need to play hero ball. And that's really also what I got from that too was it seems like Caleb is getting comfortable, not excelling obviously at the way that we wanted to just yet as Bears fans, but it looks like he's not seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold was back when he was on the Jets type deal. So it's nice to see that's getting going. As soon as these other guys get going and make it easier for Caleb, it's going to be smooth sailing in my mind. So awesome that the Bears defense stepped up and only allowed the points that they did, only giving up the 1 touchdown to Kyren. Otherwise, it was just field goals galore. There was a lot of positives to take away. Of course, still some negatives, still some things that the Bears need to clean up for sure. Not as high on, it should be a much more prolific scoring. I see a couple names on the defensive side where it's almost like they got Velcro on them and they just get absorbed by an offensive lineman right away. So this, a couple of individuals on the defensive side that need to get going, but otherwise very positive all the way around. And to beat a team that's banged up, you needed to do that. This was huge for the Bears.
Yes, like you said, there were some issues, some holes, but it was great to see the victory. The things that I did not like, I'll point out first, and then I'll wrap it back up, because we did win the game. And some of the things that I didn't like was the fact that the Rams were still able to get 119 yards on the ground with a touchdown. They were able to move the ball with some success in the first half. Now, yeah, the defense was able to not break. They bent and stop and set up some field goals, but you still wanted to see a little bit more pressure. Maybe Matt Stafford did not have that bad of a game. 20 for 29 for 224 yards. If he doesn't throw that interception at the end, instead leaves a game-winning drive, that's considered a really good game. So, it's just that little twist, and the Bears really stepping it up in that second half, they was able to close it out. But make no mistake, if the Rams weren't injury-riddled, if this was a better football team, this could have been a game that the Bears had ultimately saw an L. So it's nice to see them that they were able to make the adjustments that they needed to make. Like you said, Caleb, really what I'm hearing from a lot of people, and including myself from what I saw, this was his most pro game to date. Even though the week before he slung it around all over the yard for 300 and plus yards, this was game. It looked more like this is what you need to do to win the game. Take your check downs, run the offense, and make it look smooth. No turnovers, kept himself clean after giving up 3 turnovers the week before, and I just thought that was the major difference right there. The Bears decided not to try to look cute anymore on the goal line. They switched and went to the power rushing game with Roschon Johnson, which proved to be very, very pivotal and vital for the Bears. And then DeAndre Swift, he looked at film. He heard the calls, and he looked himself in the mirror, and he said, it's time for me to get real. And it was nice to see him respond, but it was also nice to see the offensive line opening up proper holes for him as well.
Oh, 100%. I don't want to keep comparing Bears, Justin Fields, Steelers, but if Caleb can just take care of the ball, and the Bears can win the turnover battle, just like how Justin Fields is doing in Pittsburgh, and he's not turning the ball over, he's looking decent, the Bears will win games. It's the turnover battle for sure, making sure that they're not exactly doing that, turning the ball over more than the opposing team. So the Bears defense will show up. They will make sure they will get takeaways like they did this last game, the strip sack and then the interception towards the end. That's going to be the goal, and that was really awesome to see. So again, it's just all those combination of things. Is the defense is working. They're causing takeaways. That's great. The Bears aren't turning the ball over. That's even better. And then therefore, Caleb doesn't have to play hero ball. So he doesn't need to run around like a chicken with his head cut off, looking for a guy downfield. It'll open up, and it's going to look more and more efficient as the weeks go on. Again, the idea that now it's week 5, so while they played a preseason, this was the professionals' preseason basically for these first 4 weeks. So now that everyone's everyone's fully acclimated now, you would hope. So this is going to be big step forward right now. And again, Bears play the Panthers, should not look over them at all.
No, they're going to have to definitely focus in. It was great to see Jaquan Brisker just absolutely explode. I think that he is clearly starting to become the leader of that defense, and a defense that's just starting to mold themselves into some elite status. You see that the secondary is really becoming difficult to deal with. No one wants to throw to Jalen Johnson's side. Tyreek Stevenson is making it very difficult when you throw to his side. And the safeties are just playing absolutely insane. And the front seven, let's give it up to them. Andrew Billings, wow, the juggernaut has been unstoppable, along with Dexter Sr. in the middle. And the edges are really starting to penetrate. You're starting to see Sweat now punishing people. Darrell Taylor has already shown his impact. And then you've been rotating in Walker and Booker. I'm telling you right now, Nick, I've been really, really, really impressed with what they've been able to do, especially in the second half on teams when they've been able to impose their will. And being 2-2 after 4 games, this is kind of, I think this is, we kind of were hoping for 3-1, but 2-2 is, I think, where everybody really kind of predicted them to be after 4 games.
Yeah, sounds about right. You know, again, the toss-up was the Texans, or not the toss-up, but the more or less the for sure loss was probably the Texans, and that ended up what happening. Again, could have pulled one out against the Colts for sure, but yeah, being 2-2 right now with a rookie quarterback and basically a brand new offense, I'm not complaining right now. I'm not complaining at all, especially like I said with this game right here. They have one more, and then they're off to London, so they can get through this as 5-2, that'd be fantastic. That'd be more than acceptable. Again, with when we talk every single time, the back half of that Bear schedule is tough. So this is nice to see right here.
I can envision it, but it's up to them to do it, right?
Of course.
And we see it, and I'll tell you too, hats off to a guy that also seemed to kind of get his head up out the fog, Eberflus. He came under a lot of fire after the Colts game, him and Shane Waldron, and you saw change. You saw a better game plan going against the Rams. And considering the fact that Eberflus was going against what many people consider one of the best coaches in the NFL, I dare say Eberflus outcoached McVay on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. And that was more or less, that was really the only issue going into the game. It's like, okay, we see the injuries, maybe the lack of Puka and the lack of Cooper Kupp gives the Bears the roster and the talent hierarchy right there. But for sure, that was the question that we had right here: is Sean McVay going to coach circles around Eberflus? He tried, but clearly it just wasn't able. They weren't able to follow through. So again, the Rams are doing what they can with what they have. Tough slate for them for sure. Yeah, Sean McVay's good. This was a huge one for Eberflus in that sense when we were talking about his seat being lukewarm, mid a little warm at all, just to maybe even being on fire in general. But this was huge for him, huge for the organization for sure. They needed this.
Yeah, he looked competent.
Yes.
You know, that was the thing that really just got everybody up in arms against the Colts game, not knowing if you should go for 2 or 1, bad timeouts, questionable play calling. These things ultimately all round back to the head coach. And it was really everybody was starting to wonder, is this too big for you, Eberflus? You know, is this moment too much? Are you just a coordinator? And so to see him actually go up against one of the top head coaches in the league, one of the top NFL minds of today, and he held his own, not only held his own, everything that McVay threw at him, he was able to counteract. I was like, all right, you know, I'm still not sold, but at least he turned that heat off his seat just a little bit for another week. And this, coming in against the Panthers, no, you can't lose this. You have to. I'm putting this one all on Eberflus because you've got the talent, you've got the players, you're coming into the game relatively healthy. There is no way your team should come in flat, playing down to your opponent, and not ready to go and take that victory and get on that plane to London above 500.
Yeah, and you saw that, and you saw when the Panthers first started Andy Dalton and got it to that really big lead on the Raiders. They just never looked back. So the Bears I don't think they're primed really to come back, have a comeback that early against the Panthers if they do go down. So they need to focus right away. This is no pushover. This is no slouch in the Carolina Panthers. With Andy Dalton in there, Deontay Johnson is very much a viable option. And you saw Chuba Hubbard out of nowhere. He's like, okay, I'll just have back-to-back weeks with 100 yards. And that's where the Bears, as of late, have kind of been laxing. It's been the rush defense, the defense against the run. So that would probably be the key in for me for sure, making sure that Chuba Hubbard is limited to, maybe a couple yards per game. He cannot have any big runs this week for sure. But in my mind, like we said, this needs to be a coming out party for the offense, and I hope that it's gonna bother me now. The tight end Mercedes Lewis, who broke the record for most consecutive tight end or most games played by a tight end. Big ups to him. But we were talking last week how he mentioned like, hey, coaches need to coach us up a little bit more, and I hope that is the case where they get in there. They also need in my mind, they need to utilize DJ Moore a little bit better. I think he had a couple quotes this week, not sounding frustrated, but just in that mindset of like, hey, I want to help. Here's how I can help. And it's just that understanding of like, hey, I'm very talented. And the idea that, Sam Darnold threw to me a couple seasons ago and I still got 1,000 yards receiving. Like the help is there, but being able to use the pieces in the right spot, that's going to be the goal for sure. So hopefully DJ Moore has a big coming out party. Maybe even Keenan Allen doesn't have to be humongous, but just has a decent looking game for what it's been so far. That's what I want to see for sure.
Definitely. And then when we come back from break, we're going to sit back and really get into that DJ Moore situation. It dominated most of the news this week, DJ Moore and the Caleb connection. Is there an issue? Are they on the same page? They had a lot of press conference questions that needed to be answered. When we get back, we'll break down all of that and some more to speak about Chicago sports here on WRMN 1410 AM.
It's always exciting to hear Elgin business owners like Tanner Melvin of Side Street Studios share positivity about the local community.
Elgin is on its way, and it has been, and sometimes, we got set back, the pandemic, and it's been rough. Everyone has felt it, and in so many different ways. What we're trying to do is a lot of hand-holding and shoulder rubbing and being like, it's okay. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get this town a lot more money. We're very lucky to live in this community right now. There's nothing like this around here.
Feel the positive power of the first shift with me, Marky B, weekday mornings on WRMN.
It's easier than you think for pests to threaten your family's health. Ticks, which spread dangerous diseases, hide in tall grasses and even on your pets. Rodents easily invade your home, contaminate food, and can carry more than 35 diseases. Mosquitoes, which breed in standing water, transmit many diseases. Get the facts you need to protect your family at pestworld.org. It's that easy. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410. Elgin time, 11 o'clock.
You never know what or who you'll hear from on the first shift with me, Marky B. Like Tim Sconing, a WRMN news reporter back in the 1960s.
The jingles you all played, they were purchased by Dick Sutter. He was at some radio convention. He came back with this reel. I remember them playing that in the studio. We were so excited. We thought we were network now. And it's the same jingles today.
That's great.
Every time I hear them, I get excited about it.
I'm sure.
It was a lot of fun.
Fun times on the first shift, right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM. You never know what or who you'll hear from on the first shift with me, Marky B. Like Tim Sconing, a WRMN news reporter back in the 1960s.
The jingles you all played, they were purchased by Dick Sutter. He was at some radio convention. He came back with this reel. I remember them playing that in the studio. We were so excited. We thought we were network now. And it's the same jingles today.
That's great.
Every time I hear them, I get excited about it.
I'm sure.
It was a lot of fun.
Fun times on the first shift, right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
And welcome back to the show. This is Marcus Mack and Nick No Gimmick Johnson with the truth about Chicago sports on WRMN 1410 AM, Elgin, Illinois, Studio 14. We left off talking about the DJ Moore, Caleb Williams connection. Was there an issue? How are they? It seems like DJ Moore seems to be a little frustrated, his body language off. So, they had to, both quarterback and wide receiver had to answer questions for reporters this week about was there any issues with them being on the same page. Both players seemed to answer the questions very professionally and gave, I think, all the right answers. But I'm going to tell you, from this being the truth about Chicago sports, Nick, it's obvious that DJ is frustrated because of obvious reasons. He did not want to start over at quarterback, but the organization still chose to do it anyway. As a player, you're always going to play and be a professional, but you're a human being. And when you lose someone that you have a connection with, that you're getting, like you said, the production to help the team, because I don't think that this is a situation of diva or look at me moment. It's a situation of a player that sees that he's one of the best players on the team and he can help this offense, but he needs the ball in his hands to do that. And the connection just has not been there so far. And sometimes the plays have been, and they haven't happened. And I think that that's where a lot of the frustration has come into play, because DJ Moore is a human being. And he's like, here, again, I've got to try to, get back on the same with another quarterback again. And so, seeing how this offense has sputtered out the gate, it's not that he's wanting Justin Fields back or vying for Justin Fields to come back in town. It's just that DJ is sick of having to show another quarterback his tendencies and where he needs the ball at, because he wants to be an ultimate playmaker for this team.
Oh, yeah, and you see it was, a little floater over the top. DJ but it was overthrown. It was the timing, and whether it was, I think DJ said it was his bad. Caleb says they both took blame for it, type deal. So that's what I like the most out of this, that so far. While the timing is off, it's both professional. Doesn't sound like exactly what you mentioned. It doesn't sound like DJ Moore or Caleb is big timing or like, woe is me type deal. They're very professional. They want to get on the same page together for sure. It's sure for sure frustrating. Frustrating is for sure the word when you see such a highly talented quarterback in Caleb Williams, and just the timing is off. You also see the timing off right now in New York with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. So I would love to sit here and say it's just going to be a matter of reps, and more reps, whether it's practice reps or just game reps. Clearly, this will click because, DJ Moore's shown it time and time again with less than adequate quarterbacking, he can still thrive. So I think this is a matter of just timing. It will get figured out. And again, it was just the word that you said earlier, professionalism. If we remember at the beginning of the season, even before that, actually, when the whole drafting, when the Bears were getting even in consideration to draft Caleb Williams, it was a character There's a character situation for Caleb. Is he going to be professional enough? Is he going to answer the questions right? Is he not going to be a diva? Clearly, in my mind, and from all this representation, Caleb has shown that he's willing to work. He's willing to learn. He's not shut up and dribble type deal, but he's willing to go ahead and listen. He wants to learn. He wants to listen. He wants to win. That's the best part. It's not a me thing on anybody's side right now. It is simply just, hey, let's do this. Let's work through this, and I think we can get through this. So. Right now it's just it's a little bump in the road. Timing will get on point for Caleb and DJ Moore for sure, and Caleb and the rest of the wide receiver core. To be honest with you,
yes, it's a situation I see where DJ, even going back to Carolina, was the option 1, 2, 3, and 4 on all the offense, and then coming to the Bears last year. We saw once Darnell Mooney went down with injury, once again, DJ Moore became option 1, 2, 3, and 4 for Justin Fields, and we saw the production, we saw the numbers. And now where you got a situation where you've got a new, highly talented quarterback, his connection is not necessarily all the way there yet with DJ, and there's more mouths to feed. There's connections to be made with Rome. There's connections to be made with Keenan Allen, and we see Cole Kmet now becoming a big, vital part of this offense. And we saw what DeAndre Swift can do in the passing game last week. So yeah, frustration from him because of him wanting to just be, that big-time playmaker for this offense, because this offense has had struggles to start this season, but not frustrated with Caleb. And we saw both of them come back later on in the game against the Rams, and then they would get their first touchdown of the season with each other. So it's right there. I've heard a couple other guys in town say it, and, I have to agree. It's right there. And so I think that everyone, including me and you, really feel like this game against the Panthers should be where that can happen. This is DJ Moore's former team, so he's going to want to have a little get back on them anyway from that aspect. And I really think that this is the game where him and DJ can really have that big breakout game, and we can just see overall dominance from the passing game of the Chicago Bears. Because when you look around and you see this team playing on the field, Nick, don't you just say to yourself, wow, when you think TJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, wow, right?
Oh, yeah, this offense on paper, it's stacked up. It's got a lot of fantastic names. Can I make a suggestion to you, and just maybe to the Bears, maybe just how maybe this offense can start out this game?
So yeah,
just some assessment that I've been looking at, and I would have to agree when talking to a couple other people. Right now, when Caleb, again, it's not that he's struggling. I wouldn't put that word in there for right now. He looks the most comfortable when the Bears are in their 2-minute fast-paced offense, and the Bears, as of late, they up tempo. So it seems to me that the Bears start off really slow in these first couple drives. I haven't really put together a scoring drive to begin with at the beginning of games, and if they do, it may only result in a field goal. May I suggest that the Bears just start off with a high-tempo offense right from the get-go, march down the field, and hopefully score a touchdown to start a game?
Yeah, it definitely seems like Caleb is more comfortable with the up-tempo. You see him constantly kind of calling for the play to come in fast. He wants to get to the line quick. He wants to get the play off, and it seems that the offense has had a lot of success in doing that. And so I'm definitely looking for that as well. I want them to come out the gate, get the lead, hit them in the mouth early. This team is the lesser. So, therefore, come right out the gate. Don't give them any breathing room and just get on the attack. And I think that's been one of the biggest problems with the Bears' offense is that they've played more letting people attack them rather than them being on the attack. And I think that needs to start from the offensive linemen, like you said, to the play calling, Caleb attacking down the field. Come out and attack this Panthers defense. They got a lot of injuries. This team is on the ropes. They're about 2 games away from throwing in the towel for the whole season. We've seen them bench their first-year pick from last year. They've got Andy Dalton starting, who is a decent, right? He's maybe average, maybe just below average quarterback at this point of his career, but he can still make plays, and he can still find his weapons. He's a veteran in the league. He knows how to read defenses, and he knows how to run an offense. So the Bears, like you said, I want to see them come out, start fast on offense, and on defense too, because I feel like most of these games, the defense has really kind of come out the first kind of quarters, on the defensive rather than being on the offensive like they are in the second half. So let's just jump all over this Panthers team because there's blood in the water, Nick. There's blood in the water. And when there's blood in the water, sharks should eat.
Oh, absolutely. The only name I see that's not just for the Panthers on the defensive side that I would be, concerned is J.C. Horn, the cornerback, but otherwise not really much to deal with on paper from what we're looking at here. Again, in my opinion, if they go fast tempo right away, high octane offense right at the get go, puts the Panthers on their heels right away. That changes their game script. They can't just be dinking and dotting like they have been in the past few games. They're going to have to change that. Again, in my mind, if they go down there, the Bears start off with the ball, and they score a touchdown in the first minute 30, that changes everything. That makes everything way easier and it opens up everything for the Bears on that side. So gotta get there. I gotta start off quick. Gotta punch them in the mouth right away. And again, you can't look over this team because there's a couple of guys that will get you. So Bears need to come out fast and strong right away on both sides of the ball.
Big time, up tempo on both sides of the ball. You mentioned Hubbard on the Panthers, and yes, he is a guy that can really gash it. He can make some plays. He had back-to-back weeks of 100 yards. And the Bears' front seven have given up the last 2 weeks from the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, onto the running back for the Rams. I can't think of the young
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams.
Yeah. Which a bit of an outlier. Like those two guys are fantastic. I would say even top 5 at the position. So you see a guy like Chuba Hubbard, you would hope that the Bears just contain him. Maybe 50 yards at the most with him on the ground and through the air.
Yeah, he doesn't need to have 100 on the ground. I don't even want him to have 100 total yards from line of scrimmage. He needs to be a shutdown. That's been the leaky area for the Bears and defense. The only leaky area on the Bears defense has been shutting down the run this year. And like you said, that has been a bit of a small outlier considering the fact that the 2 running backs they play are probably 2 of the more elite running backs in the NFL, and definitely would be on my fantasy team if I had picked them. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them, and I actually have covered on the fantasy team. But this week, I'm hoping for him to have a shutdown.
Oh, yeah, that would be the goal for sure. Yeah, just looking around, like I mentioned, it would for sure be locking down Chuba Hubbard on the running back side of thing. Deontay Johnson is the wide receiver to lock down. You would hope that Jalen Johnson is all over him just a bad habit.
Yeah, you definitely want Jalen on him. As Deontay Johnson got 20 receptions, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns on the year. He's definitely going to be the guy that's going to be looking to make plays for them. And that has been one thing in the Bears secondary where we've seen top receivers on other teams, aka Nico Collins, be able to make plays within the Bears secondary. So this isn't just a layup. The focus is definitely going to have to be coming in here. Do not look ahead into London. Put London on the back burner for now. Simply come. You're at home. You've got this team that's on the ropes. Let's go ahead and punch them out because Andy Dalton, everybody always looks to have a little get back against a former team. So don't think the guy's going to come out here and just lay down. I mean, you look at his season numbers, and he's actually done pretty well. He's thrown for 539 yards. He's got 5 touchdowns and only 1 interception so far after replacing Bryce Young, I believe, after game 2 for the season.
Yeah.
And so you know, in the two games that he's come in to play since replacing, he's been very adequate. And so I think that the Bears defense is definitely kind of have to solidify that wall. Billings, Dexter Sr. Are going to have to definitely be strong, but you're going to need to see more big play, too, once again, from Edmonds and Edwards, who have been excellent at the linebacker position. And I would like to see, hopefully, we could get some more Jack Sanborn on the field. A lot of teams have been running these smaller personnels out there, which have forced the Bears to have to run with the nickel a lot more this season. And so there's been a lot less Jack Sanborn. So I'm hoping that the Panthers make it where they're running a lot more heavier packages, because I really want to see him get out there and be able to make some plays as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, so, you know, as we look at the grand scheme of it all, I want to see Caleb play competent, just like he did football last week. Take the check downs. No hero ball. And I think that that's sometimes the biggest problem when you're playing a team that you know is weaker than you. You just want to come and get it all, right? You know, let's take it from right away and pick your spots. Like, you're going to get your moments, but do exactly like you did last week. If it's not there, don't force it. Remember that you have a very, very great weapon in Cole Kmet underneath. DeAndre Swift has shown now that he can be a great weapon underneath. And then you got a power rushing game. I don't know where this leaves Khalil Herbert in all of this, but I'm glad that you're starting to figure it out. I don't know where Tyler Scott fits in all of this yet, but it seems like that, you know, the offense is starting to now figure out their right personnel combinations and how to be able to attack defenses properly. And so I really see this to me is definitely a big game for the offense to come out and showcase themselves and say, hey, we finally have figured it out. Yeah, I know what we look like the first 4 weeks, but we've got this together, because if they do, Nick, now what are we really talking about here?
Oh, yeah.
We're really talking playoffs, aren't we?
You would hope so. You definitely hope so. Again, it's definitely that second half is going to make or break the Bears for sure. But yeah, you can't say must win right away. But these are games you need to have if you want to be considered contenders and not pretenders. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You mentioned a name right here, Jack Sanborn. Just a side note on him. What nickname do you prefer from Jack Sanborn? Because I've heard people call him the Sandman, and I've also heard the Jackhammer. Which one do you like better?
You know, I like the Sandman. You know, I'm a Metallica guy. You know, I feel that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Metallica guy too. I'm also like an old school ECW, like the Sandman from ECW from old Extreme Wrestling. So I get a little. Oh, yeah. You got Jack Sanborn coming out with a Singapore cane and maybe crushing a few adult beverages before the game. That actually maybe get the boys going a little bit. Exactly that. You can play Enter Sandman at the beginning.
Right. And now coming in, Jack Sandman Sanborn.
Yeah. Get the get Soldier Field sing. Sleep with one eye open. Oh man, that'd be great. That just rocking everywhere.
That would be you talk about getting the stadium rocking, huh? Oh my goodness.
That'd be our version of Jump Around when they do it in Madison, when they do it in Wisconsin. So
yeah,
that'd be pretty solid.
You know, that'd be huge. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh yeah,
I would love that. And you know who else I'm going to be looking for from the defense to really kind of come up and I know he's had a couple sacks for the season, but I think there's going to be a dominating game for Montez.
Oh, yeah. You would hope so.
I see Montez having a real dominating game. We know what the hitman Jaquan Brisker can do. This kid is something. He's something special, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I don't know if you saw that when they were doing the locker room post game, and they gave the game ball to Mercedes Lewis, and he said to them, this team is special, but he said, but you gotta believe it. And you could feel that energy from him. And when a guy that's seen as much as he's seen in the league, played over 700-plus games, you know he knows a thing or two when a team has got something brewing. And he really believes that the Bears do. And I like on paper, we all see it. It's about it coming together. And when you see special talent like a Jaquan Brisker out there combined with a Jalen Johnson, you just really start to see big things potentially from this team. And I'm telling you, I never like to be one of those, they're so close there, but they are. They are, Nick. They are right there.
There's a lot of young talent. There's a lot of people. I mean, there's a couple of people in their prime right now, and then there's a couple of people on the way out, but still a veteran presence that needs to be there. It's a really nice combination for the Bears on all fields right there. For, like I said, from youth to people in their just in the stretch in their prime right now to. Like I said, they have that veteran presence. It's a really nice mix for the Bears, which makes it exactly that. Makes it really special. And for a guy like Mercedes Lewis, who's been on, 20 teams right now, he's seen 20 different seasons, 20 different teams go through it. It's really cool for him to say that.
Yeah, I thought that was a really special moment. And, shout out to Nate Davis for bouncing back. I gave him a nasty Mac attack last week, and I doubt he heard it. But I feel like in my heart he did. And he came out, and after getting a pre-snap penalty to start the game, actually I think he got a holding call when he came in on the first snap. He bounced back, and he actually was the best. He graded out as the best lineman for the game. In that game against the Rams. So Nate Davis more than likely will be going again. I think Kevin Jenkins is still nursing a rib injury, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to go. So it'll more than likely be Nate Davis again, and then Matt Pryor in the left guard. And this is what we wanted at. This is what everyone wanted to see from Nate Davis, including the Bears organization, when he was paid $10 million to come here, is to see him come out there and be extremely effective. And you noticed the run game changed. Nate Davis, low-key, is one of the best offensive linemen on their team. But he's lazy, Nick. And if he's now gotten that lazy bug off of him, I see big things from that Bears because I feel like Darnell Wright plays better with Nate Davis alongside him.
Yeah. I remember leaving your Mac attack the last time when you discussed Nate Davis, and I was leaving from the station. I'm like, damn, were we a little too hard on the guy? But then listen collectively to other stations and other big heads that are talking heads, kind of on the same page of. Was he just lazy? Was he just accepting a paycheck and just riding it through? So, like I said, I thought we were a little too harsh, but it seems like that was the consensus across the nation was like, hey, Nate Davis needs to get it going because he might exactly be that. He might be lacking just enthusiasm for the game. So glad to see that may not be the case now and to actually get going. So. Please, Nate Davis, keep continuing to do well. That's the whole point of the Bears signing you.
Yeah, I know, man. When I Mac attacked him, I thought to him like, man, did I go too hard? But then I'm like, you know what though, you're not living up. And then you know what though, to see you respond, and that goes back to coaching too as well. I shout out to Eberflus for having the guts to bench him.
Just a little bit of tough love.
His play was unacceptable. And that if he wanted to stay in this starting lineup, he was going to have to perform a lot better. And, man, big kudos to him for bouncing back and doing exactly that. So I want to see that continue against the Panthers. Let's go out there and maul them down. Go out there, take advantage of this depleted defensive line, and let's go make some big splash plays, and let's get this big win. When we come back from break, we're going to continue breaking down Bears. We're going to be joined by Sophia Blackburn, is going to be joining us here as well when we come back for the last and final, and we're going to give you our thoughts and predictions on the Bears-Carolina game. This is Marcus Mack and Nick No Gimmick Johnston on the Truth About Chicago Sports, WRMN 1410 AM. Let's go!
Twins Gyros, located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, serves traditional gyros as well as its award-winning chicken gyros on a pita. Twin Gyros has a diverse menu that includes barbecue ribs, chicken dinners, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, cheeseburgers, and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame. Check out the full menu at twinsgyros.com. That's Twins Gyros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois.
Now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com is the book called DUI Jury Trial, which is the true story of a truck driver in Illinois who was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Not only was he facing a revocation of his driver's license, but also a lifetime disqualification of his CDL, which would prevent him from ever driving a semi-truck again. This book includes backstories of the truck driver, the lawyers that defended the case, and the DUI expert witness who analyzed the case and then testified at trial as to the proper protocol procedures of the field sobriety tests as well as the breathalyzer test. This nonfiction novel also includes the actual court transcript from the jury trial, a courtroom showdown in which the final verdict would determine the fate of the defendant's livelihood. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
For an absolutely amazing meal and attentive, smiling staff, try Red Ox Restaurant and Bar in Hampshire. They have a delicious Friday night fish fry. There's so many great dishes on the menu that'll keep you returning. Try their savory French onion soup. Then for your main course, choose from a wide variety of steaks and chops, fried chicken, shrimp, or juicy prime rib, done just the way you like it. Red Ox also has daily specials and a full bar for you and your friends. Visit redoxhampshire.com today.
When you need your banker, they should be ready to put you first. At Wintrust, you can have the banking experience you need and the one you deserve. Ready for a change? We've made it even easier. Our new sophisticated online platform makes opening accounts a breeze, but our bankers are always here for you. Open a new Total Access checking account in minutes at wintrust.com/fast. Plus, get $300.
$100 required to open. Requirements to qualify. Must use link to apply.
Member FDIC.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM, 866-509-TERM, 866-509-TERM.
Experts say regular auto maintenance is one of the most important things for your car. Meineke Car Care Center at 376 Sundown Road in South Elgin covers all your automotive needs. From oil changes, brake services, and emission testing, Meineke's expert staff provides hard work and dedication with the utmost professionalism. Need an oil change? Visit Meineke in South Elgin for their 23-point inspection. Call 847-888-9644.
Take your family out or meet up with a friend for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the Elgin IHOP, located at 101 Randall Road by the theater. They're open for dining 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Stop in at 3 p.m. for happy hour with discounted meal deals for early birds starting at just $6. You can choose from breakfast choices like the pancake sundaes or juicy burgers or maybe a classic burrito bowl. Check out the menu at ihop.com today.
And welcome back to the show. This is your host, Marcus Mack, Jr. with my co-host, Nick No Gimmick Johnson, and WRMN 1410 AM, Elgin, Illinois, Studio 14. Let's go.
Oh, let's go.
So we left off, baby. We're talking about Bears and Panthers. We're giving our predictions. We're joined in by the call-in line right now by Sophia Blackburn. Sophia Blackburn, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. So Sophia will be looking for her to join us every week, and she'll be breaking down Chicago sports with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We left off talking about Bears, Panthers. Give us your prediction. How do you see this game going?
my prediction for the game.
Yes, ma'am.
Honestly, it's gonna be a pretty good matchup. I feel like, because they're both. I mean, they're doing the best that they can right now in the league, but they're not doing as well as they could. But I'm guessing the Bears are definitely going to win this because of just like they got the first draft pick. So I feel like they're going to do pretty all right in this game.
Yeah, that's true. The Bears this is a game where we're looking for a big breakout from Caleb. Myself, I know last week everybody thought I was going crazy, including Nick. I called for 4 touchdowns, I think like 400 yards. I was wrong about that, but I was right about the final score. But I'm going to go out on a limb this week, and I'm predicting that once again, I think that Caleb is going to throw for close to 400 yards, and I'm looking for at least 2 touchdowns, one to DJ Moore and another one to Keenan Allen. Give me what do you think a final score is going to be, Sophia? How do you see it going, Bears-Panthers?
Ooh, final score. I mean, that's going to be probably a pretty tight game, not going to lie. I feel like, scores. I don't know. I feel like Bears are definitely going to be up by at least 7 or 14.
I have to agree with that. And you know, Nick, you mentioned that also. We were talking about that, we want to see them really come out and open up. But that is my fear, that this might be a lot closer than us as Bears fans want it to be, just for the simple fact of that the Panthers aren't as bad as we might believe them to be. What do you think? What are you looking at for a final score, Nick?
I'm kind of agreeing with earlier with what I believe it was Blake was saying. Did he say like 31-14 was probably like a... Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more that end of the understanding. Like, maybe the Panthers get a touchdown or 2, but really nothing else. Maybe like a big play here, and that's what sets them up in the position. But this should really be the Bears defense honing in, limiting everything that they can. Again, we're bumping up these names like Deontay and even like Xavier Legette and Chuba Hubbard for the Panthers and their offense. But this isn't the Chiefs. This isn't Philadelphia. This isn't even really like the Texans. This is a pretty mediocre ball club, but again, not a team that you can look past in any sort of way. So I'm leaning towards a big one, and it needs to be a convincing one for the Bears. So give me 30-plus points for the Bears, and give me, anywhere between 10 to 14 points for the Panthers. This needs to be a very, very a convincing win for the Bears.
Yes. Now, you being the fantasy guru in the studio, if I'm got any Bears players going or Panthers player, and I do actually have a Panthers player going, which we talked about earlier, but who should we be looking for to sit or to start in this game?
I would lean, again, talking about, but I want to maybe sit Deontay with the idea that hopefully Jalen Johnson just locks in and locks him down the entire game. He's not going to be completely on a milk carton. He's going to get a couple of receptions. He's going to get the majority of the targets. But Deontay Johnson would be hopefully the name to sit. I'll still play Chuba just until I see a better run defense from the Bears as of late. Again, he can maybe sneak in and get one of those few touchdowns that hopefully the Panthers only score a couple of or none. But I would see those two on the Panthers side of things. And then honestly on the Bears, again, you would want the same thing from DeAndre last week. Big explosive on the yardage and hopefully to get a score. Maybe not so much on Keenan. Again, I want to see him fully healthy, but DJ Moore is in there. Cole Kmet is in there. You got a couple names on the Bears side of things if you got a fantasy squad.
Yes, indeed. I like that breakdown. And Sophia, while we got you sitting on the line, you're new to the station. Introduce yourself to everyone out there, to the Truth About Chicago sports fan world and the WRMN station.
All right, yeah, for sure. So I am obviously new to this station, but I'm from Michigan, so it's kind of hard for me to talk about the Bears because somewhat am a Lions fan, but I do appreciate a good Bears game.
We forget.
So I'm more I'm like a little bit newer into the football realm. I just started going to a lot of games recently this year, but I'm more NHL than I would say NFL. But I think I want to indulge myself into the Chicago sports because I am moving there soon. So like it's a great opportunity to sit on here and talk about all the teams that they have within the state.
Yeah, not a lot of Red Wings talk on here, unfortunately. So it's going to be slim pickings for a little bit.
Hey,
okay.
You know what, though? We do have a superstar here. And I'll tell you what, I know the season's getting ready to get started soon. They're in preseason right now, Nick. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I don't have the list up in front of me right now, correct, but I know we're getting ready to start soon, and I'm definitely going to be watching Connor Bedard. I'm really high on him this year. I know the team is not going to do the best probably this year, but it still is going to be nice to see Connor in year two, where I saw enough from his rookie year, and I'm pretty sure you two can agree with this, that this is a rising, budding star.
Oh, absolutely, he is. I mean, he's so young, and he has so much power with his youth, but also with his skill that he's just going to rise to the top. I'm looking at another Kaner on the way up.
Yeah, all the upside is definitely there for sure. Sophia, you mentioned, are you a big Lions fan or just like kind of like you dipping your toe?
I'm dipping my toe. I mean, I gotta hold true and strong because it's like my state alma mater. But I mean, we're getting where we need to be. I know that do the Lions play the Bears at all?
Yeah, they will play the Bears. They haven't yet. They will play them twice later on in the year. One on Thanksgiving, actually.
Oh, perfect. I feel like that's also going to be an interesting game as well.
Yeah, my only question there was going to be, they're on bye this week, so far 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. Is this exactly where you would see the Lions? Do you see, of course, the outlier right now, the Vikings being 4-0, they're going up to London this week. But do you see, is this still possible for the Lions to squeak out and win this division?
Oh, I feel like absolutely, because of last year, and like more people have put in like their trust, possibly their money, but they've gotten like new coaches, and so I feel like they're going to do pretty well, especially with Jared Goff on that field.
Yeah, Jared Goff was perfect on Sunday night. 18 for 8, or I think it was like 18 or 19 for 19, just crazy. I think it's really just they found that thunder and lightning with David Montgomery and Jermaine Gibbs. Just absolutely powerhouse right there with those two. And then on top of it, you got a stud in Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I was kind of on the side of, with the Lions not making any big roster changes, it might just be kind of copy and paste. But you see, I mean, they're still very much fighting for it, and they can maybe just go ahead and squeak out the rest of the year. This might be the toughest division, honestly.
I feel like that too, but
yeah, definitely.
I feel like one quick thing. I feel like since the Lions, we did bad for so many years off on end. And not saying that the Bears are bad. The Bears aren't bad, but the Bears definitely have time to improve. And I feel like if it can happen to the Lions, I feel like the Bears are one step behind them for getting up there.
Yeah, really just a little bit of a lack of the offensive line. That's kind of just the glaring issue for the Bears.
Yeah, big time. And the coaching, Dan Campbell, everybody questioned it when it first happened, but he's really come in and galvanized this team and made them believe that they could be winners. He put belief in Jared Goff, who was written off by the Rams and shipped away. And, he's really just turned this whole organization into something that nobody, I guess, saw coming. And now that it's here, it's like we're going to have to deal with them for some time. And I definitely I didn't predict a fall off for this season whatsoever. So, yeah, they're definitely right on pace. And when they meet the Bears on Thanksgiving, that's going to be fireworks for sure. Sophie, I know you got to get up out of here and you got to go do some other things, but thank you for joining us this week. Please come back again next week. We look forward to you being with us on many more times.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Excellent day. And once again, go Bears. And I guess we'll say go Lions because it's a bye week.
Yeah, that's fine. You can root for them this week, and that's it.
Yeah. But yes, that was Sophia Blackburn joining us once again. She'll be joining us pretty much kind of on a regular basis here with me and Nick No Gimmick Johnson in Studio 14, moving forward with the Truth About Chicago Sports. So as we get ready to wrap up this last little end here, Nick, what else do we got on the docket besides the Bears? What are you going to be keeping your eye on this week for games-wise? I know we're going to be watching some playoff baseball a little bit. And what other big football games are you looking forward to?
There's two for me for sure. I'm watching the 3-1 Bills taking on the 3-1 Texans in Houston this week. I feel like those are two. You on paper again, you could see these guys both battling out, even potentially in the AFC Championship game type deal. I think that the Texans are on pace to be up there and even be a Super Bowl contender. But that's just my opinion right now. I really like how C.J. Stroud is moving the ball. And on the other end, it might be a little banged up for the Bills, but they could still find a way, especially when they have Josh Allen there. So I'm looking at that game right there. A lot of big key names in there just for just watching it in general or just watching it for fantasy. There's a lot of big names right there for sure. My other game that I really like this week is Baltimore and Cincinnati. Division matchup. Joe Burrow came out earlier this week. He said, we need this one. We got to get this one. Might be really tough because the Ravens starting out 0-2, now 2-2. They're on a full-on roll. They are a buzzsaw already. So these guys, they're both having high confidence. This is all four of those very, very talented quarterbacks. So I can't wait in both of those games.
Yeah, no, those are going to be some great watches. I'm going to be also interested in checking out that Cowboys and Steelers. And, yeah, for a little bit from the Justin Fields standpoint because I do want to see him cook. But I think it's going to be a really, really good competitive game. Cowboys defense kind of struggled to open up, but we know they've got some stars on both sides of that football. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. Another game, I'm definitely going to be watching Ravens and Bengals. I'm really starting to enjoy the connection between Lamar, Derrick Henry, and you're starting to see it all come together now. Like you say, after opening up 0-2, Bengals are going to be desperate. So you're going to see a team that's really fighting for their season. Because if you go down 1-4, that's pretty much it for you in the football world.
Oh yeah, they'll be trying to swing up the entire time. Again, already with the outlier of the Steelers being 3-1, you're going to be looking up even after the end of this game. And honestly, I think the Steelers can get a win on Sunday night against the Cowboys. Again, just that idea of Cowboys aren't looking as hot as they should be. They only really have CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson to throw to. Their run offense is not there. You find out Brandon Cooks is out. He has a leg infection, so hopefully he gets healthy and figures that out. But you got a steamroll of a defense in the Steelers. And again, when I mentioned Justin Fields just isn't turning the ball over. He's not making mistakes. So that's it could be scary for a Dallas defense who's underperforming.
Yes, indeed. And I got sneaky last pick that I'm going to keep my eye on is that Vikings and Jets game.
Yes,
Vikings
across the pond.
Red hot with Sam Darnold. And it'll be interesting because the Jets, who've come in with a lot of expectation with Aaron Rodgers returning back from that Achilles injury, they've been subpar so far.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely going to be a very interesting game to see in terms of how good the Vikings really are, if they're the real deal, and then we're going to find out if the Jets are the real deal. This is an answer game for both teams, so we should see some big fireworks in that matchup.
Well,
Nick, tell me.
Oh yeah, and I'm very much digging that game for sure. 4-0 Vikings, Jets that need to get right. They're across the pond, so make sure we're up early for this game. 8:30 Central Standard time zone start. I'm excited. If one team needs to make a statement, it's the Jets in this one for sure. They need to get out there and they need to get right. Again, all that talk, like you mentioned about, Aaron Rodgers not being on the same pace as Garrett Wilson, just not really having the same time. They get smacked up by the Broncos, and that could be a toss-up of like, was that the weather? Was that the defensive scheme? Was that just, again, timing? It needs to be figured out for sure. I like that. Again, those London games could always be fun and different.
Yes, indeed. I'll definitely be checking it out nice and early as well.
And another name that could be mentioned, added to the Jets. Mm-hmm. How about Devontae? How about Devontae Adams in this trade talk right now?
Let's that's going to be interesting to see definitely how that plays out as the week forms, because he definitely says he wants out from the Raiders, and the Jets could use him. Nick, I want to ask you something, and tell me this: what's the narrative on Monday if the Bears lose this game to the Panthers?
Ooh, wow. It of course it's going to have to be like, how did they lose? What did they lose by? Was it was it one play? Was it an oopsie doopsie? I messed up and I dropped the ball type deal? Was it just a overall poor performance from one individual player that therefore led to this? If it's just an utter blowout, or honestly, even if it is a close enough game, and the Bears lose like 27-21 or something like that, there's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot more of Shane Waldron. What are you doing? This might be straight up Matt Eberflus. Not only you're not just on the hot seat, you're just in the crosshairs. Might be even potentially to get tossed this early. But I would pull back. Hopefully, if they do lose that game, maybe hopefully cooler heads prevail. But a lot of people will be on the chopping block, but mostly on the coaching side of things. It's just still a lot of people are very much like, okay, the talent's there. They want to see all these guys. It's tough right now. So yeah, the narrative is going to be, sticky, brutal.
Yes, brutal. And I asked that because even though neither one of us want, and I feel like not only us, but most of the talking heads in this town don't want to come out and say that this is a must-win when it's the fifth game of the season against a lowly Panthers team. But when you think about the flip side of it, that if this were to be a loss, the narrative would be very, very detrimental to a lot of people on this organization, especially coaching staff members. It is a must-win, unfortunately. And I believe that, therefore, that leads us to only one conclusion, that the narrative has to be on Monday, that we're talking about a Bears victory. And not just a Bears victory, a close Bears victory. It needs to be a dominant Bears victory because it needs to look good on paper finally. It's looked shaky through the first four games. And that's been the biggest issue with everyone in town. You got 2 wins. But those 2 wins have really looked shaky. You got your first win came when you didn't even score an offensive touchdown. Your second win finally came, but it still was a lot of mistakes and sloppiness in the first half. The Bears have yet to put together a complete 4 quarters of winning football. And I think that at this point now, going against a Panthers team that's on the ropes, it's that time. So the narrative has to be that the Bears win, and the Bears win big. And I think that anything else, we're coming away questioning what's going on in Hallis Hall. Do you agree or not?
Oh, yeah. You know what? At this point, I'm willing to rip the Band-Aid off, and I think that the way that this division is and how tough it is, and the Vikings, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers, unless they're playing each other, they most likely, unless they're playing each other or the Chiefs, they're most likely going to be the odds-on favorite to win that game. So at this point in time, all games for the Bears are going to be must-win because the division is just so stacked until it's not. Until someone falls off a cliff, these are all going to be must-win games for the Bears simply because the division is so top-heavy. They needs to be exactly that. It needs to be wins, needs to be convincing wins, and just a lot of offense because Green Bay's not going to slow down. And right now, the same thing. The Vikings are on a rocket ship. And I said the same thing for the Lions. Anyone at any time is going to be able to score because Jameson Williams could be a big bomb for Jared Goff. Or, like I just mentioned, hand it off to David or to Jermaine Gibbs. Boom, they're gone. These are fast, explosive teams at all ends. So, yes, at this point, I'm not afraid to say it. All of these games are must-win at all times.
Yes, the Bears, when we look at this division, I truly do believe this has become the toughest division in football, where all four teams can give you the business on any Sunday. And therefore, these games, before you have to face off against these opponents, are precious. You need as many of these as many wins as possible going into these division games, because there's no way at this point, seeing how all three of those teams are playing, the Bears are going to sweep them. Now, I'm going to take it. You know me. I'm Mr. Positive. If the Bears were to sweep all three teams for this year, woo-hoo-hoo, right? We're having a big season, and we're clearly in the playoffs.
Dancing on Michigan Avenue.
But looking at all of these rosters, all four teams are pretty complete on both sides of the football. And so when you play the Vikings, when you play the Packers, and when you play the Lions, you're more than likely going to take some lumps in some of those games. And so, yes, these are must-wins right now, especially against opponents that I believe are weaker. And so get this win, get your butt ready for London, and then go handle the Jaguars, and go into your bye week feeling good about your football team at 4-2. The narrative cannot be 2-3 heading to London. If that happens, then I think we know where the season is headed.
Of course.
So I don't want it to be doom and gloom. But at the same time, this is the truth about Chicago sports, and we're always going to bring you that. And so when you get there on that field tomorrow, Chicago Bears, at noon, when the game I'll have my eyes glued on, I expect to see you come out the gate, hit them fast, hit them hard, and keep them down for all four quarters. This is the time, this is the game, Nick, where the Bears put it all together. Like you said, the first four games are now your new preseason. This is now where you have found your identity, who you are, what's your best lineups on the roster, your best combinations out there on the field. It's time to now implement that against an opponent that should be a pretty fairly easy victory.
Yeah. Again, just exactly that. Put everything together. No reason to hold out right now on any, special play or something like that. This is a game that you got to go ahead and get the W in for sure. So you got to pull out all the stops if you really need to. And, obviously Eberflus isn't, Andy Reid type deal where he's pulling out all these crazy jet sweeps and everything type deal. But it would be very interesting to see if the Bears can get somewhat creative in a couple of their play calls, especially like we mentioned with Shane Waldron being under the microscope that he was. So he needs to get that off his back, needs to get a ton of scoring, needs to be at least 4 touchdowns in my mind against this team.
Yes, indeed. It's been another great week. Nick, thank you once again for joining me, brother. I always love when you're able to ride shotgun with me.
Appreciate it.
It's been a great show. Thank you to our guests that joined us, Blake Colwell and Sophia Blackburn. Thank you to Maddie Ice McNeil for running the board.
On the ones and twos.
Thank you.
Daily. And thank you once again to Dennis Sonar Green. This has been the truth about Chicago sports. WRMN 1410 AM Studio 14 in Elgin, Illinois. Let's go!
Let's go!
Not hungry for pizza? Try the homemade lasagna, chicken parmesan, burgers, salads,